Oh, hello, my friends. Lazdog here with Professor Caesar McPoochface. Hello. And we wanted to keep talking about Andrew Jackson, pick up where we left off, our seventh president of the United States. Again, his earlier life, born in the backwoods of the Carolinas. Dad dies pretty much immediately after his birth. Self taught, fought in two wars. One as a 13-year-old kid, he stands up to the British. Then he repeats his success in the War of 1812 and becomes a national hero. And so many people are like, man, Old Hickory. Why do they call him Old Hickory? That's a good question, Caesar. One of his soldiers thought he was just really tough and strong, like a hickory tree. So they called him Old Hickory. Oh, okay. They said, Old Hickory, why don't you run for president? And he thought, okay, I've been a lawyer, I've been a judge, I've served in Congress, not a bad idea. And so he does. And that's where we left off in our story time of Andrew Jackson, is when he lost the presidency in 1824 to John Quincy Adams. So let's get back to our story time. Now, Jackson and his friends didn't waste any time getting ready for the next election. In 1828, Andrew ran for president against John Quincy Adams again. Fierce battle. Both sides insulted the other's candidate. They said things that weren't always true and were often hurtful. Politics can get so ugly. But when the election was over, Andrew Jackson had won. Farmers, shop owners, settlers, and other everyday people felt they could trust Jackson because he was the first president to come from a poor frontier family. Andrew Jackson never forgot the common people who voted for him. He always tried to keep them in his mind when he made his decisions. So one of the questions from the homework was 3 times as many people voted in this election than from the last one. What happened? Well, one is they gave the right to vote to non-property males. So basically poor white guys could vote now. And who was the common man associated with? Poor white guys. They voted for Jackson. Now, some bad luck, more bad luck for Jackson. Unfortunately, just before Andrew began his new job as president, a terrible thing happened. His wife, Rachel, died. In 1829, a sad Andrew Jackson traveled to the White House alone, but he'll end up serving 2 4-year terms as president. Poor guy, his wife dies right before he moves to the White House. Now, Andrew Jackson was one of the most powerful leaders the United States ever had. During his time as president, Andrew made many important decisions. And you guys have heard, that's where we'll stop, by the way. You guys have heard Lazdog talk about Andrew Jackson, and you've heard me talk some smack about him, like I don't like him. And you've probably been like, what's up with that? Yeah, what's up with that? Because if you look at it, there's a lot of good things we can say about him. I mean, the guy came from nothing. He was poor, without a father, and overcame that adversity as a child. That's pretty admirable. He worked hard, self-taught, fought for his country twice. He was a lawyer and a judge, so he knew the law. He served in Congress, so he knew politics. He was a man of the people. How about that inauguration party? 20,000 people spilling drinks, breaking dishes. Woo woo. So you're like, Lazo, what don't you like about Andrew Jackson? What's the deal? Well, where you guys are headed in 10.4 is why I don't like him. It's the Indian Removal Act. Basically, during Jackson's administration, we're going to find gold in the foothills of Georgia and Alabama and Tennessee, basically where a lot of Native Americans live. And when white people find gold on Native American land, that's bad news for Native Americans. Uh-oh. So Jackson's going to pass this law called the Indian Removal Act, which is going to lead to one of the low points in American history, the Trail of Tears. And that's what 10.4 is all about. So what's some bad, Andrew? Well, he essentially is responsible for a genocide or the extermination of a race of people in the form of some Native Americans. And again, that's where you're headed in 10.4. So that's all from Caesar and I for now. Bye-bye. Now get to work on that 10.4 stuff. Peace.